All right, module 4, conduct the interview. So an interview is kind of like a date. It's not exactly like a date. I know there's a lot of naysayers, so that's fine if you disagree. But in both situations, the people involved are hoping for a match, and there's gonna be a lot of questions asked. When I first met my wife, we were camp counselors, and every summer or every week we were at a new college campus. And so I just met her, known her about a week, and we were at the new campus. We over the weekend moved to the new campus, and not everybody in the group had a car, and she was volunteering to drive anybody who needed to go to the store to pick up stuff for the week, right? So I went, another guy went, and this guy was really interested in her. And I guess he felt threatened by me, which makes sense. She was beautiful. I wanted to get to know her better. And he starts to really try to understand. I don't know how to say it other than understand my soul. Like he even said, Tommy, I want to get to know what makes you tick. Poor guy. I don't know what got into him, but he started to just hit me with a barrage of questions and try to really, like, I don't know, play the role of psychologist. What little did he know, he was messing with an undergrad psychology major, so I didn't know enough of anything about psychology to have any kind of expertise at all. But I withstood his questioning well. I understood what he was doing. I responded with a little bit of humor, a little bit of deflecting, because I didn't know this guy at all. He doesn't need to know this stuff about me. But it was my answers to those questions and the way I handled myself that really stood out to my wife. And a year later, we were married. So it worked out. So I'm going to go ahead and believe that interviews are like dates. So first up, you have the pre-interview. And the purpose of the pre-interview is to prepare. Here you want to review the resume, review the interview questions, make sure you're early, and eliminate distractions. Your phone, let's have it put away. Research shows that if the phone is out when two people are talking, the quality of that conversation suffers. And if you're late, you're gonna be frazzled, right? And of course, it's always a good policy to understand what's on the resume. If you expect them to research your company, then you should probably research them, because this is a bit of a two-way street. You wanna make sure they're the right fit for you, and if they are, you wanna sell them on it. And they want to make sure that your job is the right job for them. And if so, they're going to want to sell you on it. And the reason why you want to do these things to prepare is you will get better information from the candidate. A, because you are more focused, and B, because they will be more focused and engaged in the conversation. Second, the candidate's going to get a better impression of your company, and you want them to have a positive impression of their company. Because of a couple of reasons. One, you may want them to work for you. Two, if they end up not working for you because you don't feel they're a good fit or they decide to go elsewhere, you want them to have a positive view of your company. I work for a large retailer now, and we always say every one of our candidates is one of our customers, because every one of our candidates has been into our store at some point in time and purchased something. So we have to keep that in mind. We don't want an interview to lead to a loss of a candidate or a loss of a customer. The next step is to open the interview. This is where you're going to build rapport. Now, you want to provide a warm welcome, give a brief outline or agenda of how you're going to be spending the time, how long the interview should last, how many questions you have. You're going to want to then go into discussing the role, give them a high-level overview, because maybe they don't quite understand the role like you'd like them to understand the role. And then you want to share your passion for your business or your company or the role or why you work in the industry. You want them to understand that this is a place of passion, right? That's part of the selling them on the role. Now you might be thinking, why shouldn't I just give them the third degree and just really grill them? Well, we've talked about this before. And the reason why is that doesn't predict performance. You look at it this way. There is a true objective answer whether or not they would do well on the job. And if we could identify the information in their brain that would tell us that, and put it through a computer and spit out a number, that would be great. We can't. So we have to ask questions. So they have the data we need to understand whether they can do well in the job. We've got the metric to measure it. They have the data. We need to get the data for them. If you make them nervous and tense and anxious, one, it's not a great candidate experience. Two, they're not going to be able to recall and pull out that data and information you need to assess it against the measurement you've prepared to determine whether or not they'd be a good hire. And that's why you don't want to stress them out. It doesn't lead to you getting a good measurement. That would be like trying to measure a board, a long board, while it's standing up and you're trying to hop up and down on one leg. You're just making it more difficult. You might get close to a good measurement, but you would get a really accurate measurement. If you lay the board flat, you get your both feet on the ground, and you measure it a couple times. Like they say, measure twice, cut once. So that's how you open the interview. Now you go into asking the questions. This is the data gathering portion. And by that, I mean, you shouldn't be scoring. You should just be gathering information here. Just gathering information. It's like you're going through the field as a farmer and you're harvesting. It's just time to harvest. It's not time to start cooking the food or prepare the food. Just get the food out of the ground. And then we start the processing. So first, you're gonna ask your prepared question. You're gonna ask clarifying questions, and you encourage the candidate to ask any questions they have. So makes sense, right? And there's 3 key skills that are gonna make you successful at this. 1, you're gonna want to wait, be patient, and listen to their answers and give them time to respond. So it takes time for somebody, you ask them a question, if it's not a question they were prepared for or expecting, they're gonna need maybe a minute, maybe a minute and a half to think about an answer. And that's okay. Give them the time they need. Let them feel relaxed and let them take the time to find the right answer. Then you're gonna ask follow-up questions. I guarantee it is a situation where when you ask your well-prepared interview question with your rating scale underneath and it's ready to go, you will not get all the information you need from that one question or that main stem of the question and a couple additional questions you have in there. You have to ask follow-up questions. You have to ask clarifying questions. Just like a conversation with somebody in real life, you ask them a question, you listen to the answer, and based on their answer, you ask other questions to further understand. Those questions may be clarifying questions. Say, well, I didn't understand this piece. Those questions may be confirmatory in nature, saying, sharing what I heard you say was this. Is that correct, right? Maybe it'll spark something else. You're like, you know, I want to understand this better. And then also seeking contrary evidence. Seeking contrary evidence is when you're getting a one-sided view of the applicant, it's about getting another side of view. So if they say, if you start to hear in a couple different ways in the answer to the question or questions that they never really run into problems with coworkers. Well, I want to understand, well, how do they respond? If that's important to the job, how do they respond? Like maybe a good example, we've used the customer service question. Maybe they're always sharing where they're always able to solve every customer's problem. Great, that's awesome. Can you tell me about a time you weren't able to solve a customer's problem? So now I flipped it on its head. I want to know when things don't go right for them. What do they do? Because that's important. Ideally, I hope that you're able to solve every one of your customers' problems there in your store with your business. But sometimes maybe you're not. Maybe you're not a right fit for the customer, right? And I want to know the person I'm hiring, when somebody came into the gym and really wanted a pool, but there's no pool there, what does my individual do? They say, sorry, we don't have a pool. Go find one on your own, or just say, you know, we don't have a pool, but here's a couple pools in the area, you know? Because at the end of the day, you want to provide value to your customers, the value that's close to what they're seeking for. If you don't have what they need and what they're seeking for, maybe you can help them out.